Hi, welcome to MRTV Live. This is a special edition of this show, and in this edition, we're going to have a very exciting Q&A session here with Kevin Anderson, the head of the US operations of Pimax. Hi, Kevin. Great to have you here on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Good to see you again.
Great. Yeah. Why would you say again? Because we had just actually recorded an episode of the People in XR podcast where we talked about all these interesting things, how Kevin got to become the head of US operations, what his plans are for Pimax, and all this exciting stuff. And you can watch it here on MRTV on Sunday. But in this podcast recording, actually all the tough questions I didn't ask them because, well, I think that the normal podcast listeners is not so exciting for them. But for the Pimax backers and for all the people who are excited about the Pimax and probably want to buy it, these questions are very exciting. And that's why Kevin and me decided to go live now to talk about these questions and also to give the audience actually the chance to ask you right away. Right.
Great.
That's how
Yeah,
we're
and
going
I'll
to do
try
it.
to I'll try to hit them as fast as I can so that we can get to as many as we can.
That's perfect. Before we start with everything, could I just ask the audience if you can hear me and Kevin well? So let's just see if we have really
Hopefully,
fixed all our technical difficulties.
yeah, we had a little bit of launch difficulties there for a second.
Right, right. We did, but it seems like we're all good now. Perfect. Yeah, like a Skype call. Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly what we're doing. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, for all of the people who have just joined in the show and well, who have no idea who is Kevin, let's do like talk 5 minutes and give the
Sure.
audience an idea of what you're doing. So, you are the head of Pimax USA. Could
Right.
you for all the people who don't happen to know what is Pimax, I do believe everybody knows, but probably, probably somebody just get into this channel
Yeah.
and don't know what is Pimax. Please tell our audience what is Pimax.
We're the makers of our virtual reality headsets, high resolution, wide FOV, and
Yes, sir.
we're along the same lines of Oculus and HTC and other manufacturers of this sort of thing.
Right.
And immersive computing is our specialty and really our complete focus. And in fact, as far as I know, we might be one of the only companies that completely focus on PC VR. That's where our head is at, and that's what we're trying to do.
All right. Cool. So your flagship product is actually the Pimax 8K series, which are
Right.
actually three headsets. It's the Pimax 5K Plus, it's the Pimax 5K OLED version, I call it right now, and it's the Pimax 8K. And well, you've been very successful with these headsets. You had like
Yeah.
the most successful Kickstarter campaign in November 2017, I believe
Right.
it was, and you earned like you received like not you earned that would be amazing for you you
Yeah. Wow. Why not? Right.
Pimax like received like I think 4.5 million, which made it the
Right.
biggest Kickstarter campaign of all times, and you're even in the Guinness World Records book, which you told me
That's that's
today.
true.
Yeah, very cool, very cool.
Yeah. An overwhelming response that probably no one at Pimax expected to get.
Yeah, exactly. So so this part was very exciting, and then you had this, you had this long time where lots of things where people were expecting the headset. Actually, in the very beginning,
Right.
Pimax had said that you're going to deliver the headsets in January 2018, right? But this
Right.
this didn't really happen,
No,
and
it
no,
did not.
that didn't happen at all. And well, then there was like lots of miscommunication, honestly speaking, and the community was getting a bit upset in the forum, and like, yeah, lots of
Right.
chaotic things happened. But now finally the headsets are coming out, and what I think is amazing, Pimax has a new head of US operations, which is you, and you are the first and only English native speaker, I believe.
Yes, native speaker, right.
Right.
Ask some of my friends; they may not agree with you.
Right, right. Well, anyways, your English is very good, probably better
Thank you.
than theirs.
That may be.
That may be. Anyways, so yeah, so we have talked about all the exciting part about you joining the team and what you're going to change, all the changes that you're introducing to Pimax, and we don't want to talk about this right now. People who are
Right.
interested in this story can simply listen to the podcast, and the podcast is going to broadcast this Sunday. So this is something to look forward to. But
Okay.
this show is all about the hard questions. This
All right.
show is all about where are the Pimax headsets that have not yet been received by the backers, and all these
Sure.
questions. So I think this is going to
Fire
be,
away.
yeah, I'm going to fire away. And I think it's going to be a pretty interesting show, especially for those, yeah, especially for those backers, for those people who are still probably waiting for the headset. Let me just close that little window here. Okay.
There
For
you go.
yeah, now it's gone. For
See the mouse pointer.
I see the mouse pointer. Okay, thanks. Now it should be gone. So, yeah, so let's begin with this part with a Q&A. So, before this show, I actually asked in the Pimax forum. In the Pimax forum, if there are any questions, and people asked lots of questions, and I have them all here. Then I
Sure.
asked the MRTV subscribers, the MRTV elite for the questions, and I have them all here. So basically, all the questions they revolve around three big problem parts.
Okay.
So problem part one about the customer service. Then problem part two about the quality assurance, about headsets not being perfect as as people expect headsets to be. And problem three is let me check the third problem part. um, yeah. How about the devices that have not yet been received? So these are the three big topics
Okay.
that I want to talk about in the show,
Sure.
and then we have actually lots of other questions on top of that. So it's going to be very exciting. You're going to be grilled, Kevin, and
Okay.
and I think this show is pretty amazing for all the people who have lots of questions, but yeah, who probably don't get fast answers in the forum. So I
Right.
believe that this is a great video that you can also share on the forum, and people can simply watch this video, and all the questions, hopefully, I think yes, will be answered tonight.
Well,
All
I'll hit
right.
them. I'll try to limit the time on each one so we can hit as many as we can.
All right. Okay. So first of all, about customer service.
Sure.
I got lots of people who told me, "Hey, Sebastian, you have to ask Kevin that." I have put my question into the ticket system, into this support system, and I've asked a
Right.
question 3 weeks ago, but I did not get any answer. Then another guy, he told me, from the German YouTube scene, Hoshi. He said like, okay, I had asked a question, and after 2 weeks, finally now after Chinese New Year, I got the answer, and I replied to that answer, and now we're 5 days in, no reply. People are frustrated about this support ticketing center. People are not getting answer, and it seems like there's only one guy, Alan Sun, however you would pronounce his name,
Right.
and this guy is answering all the tickets problem. Do you only have one guy? What's the matter with your support system, Kevin? Your turn.
Well, there's not a lot of people in it. Is the is the first thing, as you're well aware, and some of the other people are, well, first of all, let me just say, obviously that is no good. And
That is no good. Definitely, yeah.
yeah, I mean, obviously, clearly, you need to be able to attack as many questions as you can and as fast as you can, and the answer. Not only that, the answers have to be, uh, you know, tangible. They have to be actual actions taken on our part to help people. It's one thing to just say, okay, here you go, here's a response, next, but the answer needs to be a real action that we take that solves the problem. So let me start with, we in order to improve that, we have to track how often a ticket is closed, and of course they, what a lot of people might say is they're in some cases they're just immediately closing a ticket, and no doubt that's not good either. So but the system itself does track how many problems are actually solved and how many problems are gone through and how many minutes are spent per day on them, and how often that same person comes back. And there is some accountability built into it now. Problem was, after the Chinese New Year, this massive number of those tickets piled up. And when they came back, I mean, they had, well over, I think there was 1,600 of them to do. And
1,600?
Yeah.
All right, okay. And there's
So,
one guy who's answering them. Is it like this?
well, they're different people have different hats.
All right,
At the
so there's one
company,
guy who answers all the questions. He also has to do other things.
he does, but then there's
Oh
people that,
no.
that also answer questions. There's Matthew in Dallas also,
Right.
work in that area, and Sean
So it's wow, it's
works
like
in some of that area. But remember, Matthew and Dallas are also in logistics,
right.
and Sean is one of the chief engineers on the software programming side. So,
I know.
he spends 2/3 of his time coding.
Right.
So, but then he jumps in and and actually helps with that piece of it as well. But even with and then we have other people that are assigned to it that are trying to train people to come in and be additional staff. So, like I said before, whenever you try to expand the team, you have to slow the team down, and it happened exactly after the Chinese New Year. So you had this giant thing where it was all built up, and here we are, way behind.
Right.
I will say the real solution to that problem is the local offices.
Mhm.
When the local offices come up, the support request will come through, the local offices themselves, and we'll attack it, and it'll be, far more efficient. Not only because, we'll have a really tight ship and a really tight system that's tried and true, a system that I've worked with for many years.
Mhm.
In fact, this system that I use just last year was processing like 400 people a day. So, and a lot of the new system is automated, where even shipping labels and trouble tickets, and there's a whole lot of aspects to it are completely automated. So that when you try to return something, you get the label automatically.
All right.
And when you need to return something to us, you get a label in an email,
Mhm.
and the shipping labels. You just slap it on a box and ship it back.
All right,
So
got it. But when will this local office work as what the support ticket system is concerned? Because well, now people are frustrated now, right? So,
right. So you're talking
yeah.
2 or 3 weeks before the new local ticketing system goes into effect.
All right.
So we're talking, but that's at this point, that's not really, although it doesn't help people who are waiting right now, it does kind of show you the path that we're taking to try to. So you're going to have two things. You're going to have where the number of tickets are reduced because they're taken over locally. People will not run the tickets through, the people in North America at least will not run the tickets back through the normal pimaxvr.com.
Right.
Number one. And number two, and that's over half of the tickets. So that means their load will be half as large as it is now. And then on top of that, with a load half as much, we're training new people. So they're actually going to have 2 or 3, about roughly double the people they have, plus the ones that are doing the training are coming back.
In
So you're
China
going to
or in your local US
no, in
office?
China.
Okay.
So the staff is expanding. People that are doing the training of new staff will be back in China, so the capacity will be increased there, but the actual amount of tickets hitting there will be far less. So
Okay.
yeah, so there is a sort of a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to that. Does that mean that it's not a hassle and very annoying right now? Of course not. I'd be frustrated too, and clearly, it's a situation that has to be resolved.
Yeah,
And
especially in conjunction with all the headsets received which are not working properly.
sure.
This is like really like not a good combination, right?
Yeah,
So
I would answer that. Just I would say that clearly anyone with a headset that doesn't work, that's extraordinarily frustrating. And when you've been especially when you've been waiting over a year to get it, and then suddenly you get it, and here you have
yeah,
a unit with some sort of problem.
right.
Um, that said, though, the 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 belief that that these are some sort of endemic things, is you got to keep in mind the likelihood of someone posting in a forum or on Reddit is real high when there's a problem, and when there's no
Yeah,
problem, they don't post at all. If you go to any electronic devices
this is right.
forum,
This is right. Yeah.
I mean, you go to the Samsung television forum, you would think that Samsung cannot manufacture a TV that works.
That's right. But
There's thousands
that
of
makes sense.
reports, and there's nothing good.
However, Kevin, I must tell you that in my close circle of friends, there is like two people who ordered the Pimax, and both of them have problems. And then I myself, my Pimax
Right.
also has problems. So it doesn't feel like it's like just a problem that is like over exaggerated because people are posting that to the forum. I think it's a real problem,
No, there's no doubt.
right?
There's real defectives with real problems. I would just say the actual amount of reports that we get. We actually have the hard statistics on how many reports versus
Right.
how many people
Okay.
have the headsets,
Got it.
and we do keep track of that. And
Okay.
is it good? No, you know.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, is it something that's the real high percent? Because by saying what you just said, anecdotal evidence like that, I have two friends that have a
Yeah.
defective
But
that have
it's
defective
just like
units,
the reality,
right?
right?
But
So
but it's especially true on earlier devices.
all right.
Devices that were manufactured. The earlier the device
Okay.
was manufactured, the higher the odds that it could have something.
Right.
But
Sure.
now we've got two stages of checking on
Okay.
units that go out, and we did a release this morning that described that to a little bit higher degree. But now we have two stages of checking, and we even have a third stage of checking that we just implemented
Mhm.
that's actually at the panel factory.
All right. Cool.
We actually sent two engineers to the panel factory to inspect the LCD panels coming off the line and testing them exactly off the line.
Right.
So that right there is already nearly double the amount of good panels we're getting.
Okay. Cool. We're going to talk about Q&A a bit further down the line, and it's going to be very interesting as well. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the super chats that I'm receiving. So if you want to send over super chats, that's definitely very, very nice of you and very much appreciated. And then I will more easily read your questions as well. And Sarah Edge sends 50 Danish crowns, and it's 10 p.m. here. Do you know where your Pimax are? Where my Pimax are? Well, yeah, I received one, so I know where my Pimaxes are, and
I assume he means his own, right?
yeah, probably his own. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, thank you so much for the super chat, and thank you so much, Vorinami, also for your super chat. And I have your question here pinned down, Vorinami, so no worries. I'm going to read out yours as well. So, Kevin, what should I tell my YouTube friend Hoshi from Germany, who has told me that he did have these tickets replied 5 days ago, and then it was set to resolved. However, his problem wasn't resolved at all. So it felt like the person didn't understand him at all. So it's now like, okay, he can open another
You say
ticket.
he's in Germany?
He's in Germany. He can open another ticket now, and then he'll get another answer in 10 days, and probably the person's not going to understand him. But he's here in Germany with his Pimax, and it has problems. What should I tell him?
I would just say that first of all, we're reviewing the tickets, but like I say, there's just a massive number of them,
Yeah.
and it's hard to separate ones from ones that are, where someone is, has a very general question for someone who has, something that is, could be defective, or it could be, some problem with the software and that kind of thing.
Right.
But there's a lot of them. And so
So what to tell
they
him?
shouldn't be closing tickets, and we'll have to clearly have a little talk about that.
Yeah, but this
but
is a problem. They mark them as resolved when they are not. It's they are,
right,
the thing is they are yeah, like overwhelmed, right? This is the word
yeah.
probably. So how fast can you scale this up? You just mentioned you're going to put this to the local offices, right? This is good, but
Uh,
how fast?
right, but that's
Shouldn't
going to
this be a
cut down. But
priority?
that'll cut down on the amount of tickets that they have to resolve every day. That are
Right, right.
see the problem. The problem is not only did they have this massive backlog when they came back, new ones were being piled on top of it,
Sure.
and so they weren't really catching up. you know, so you still had this huge pile of them to work, and a lot of those were people who were resubmitting tickets again. You got to keep in mind, even there's people that are sending tickets where they're putting multiple tickets in for the same issue because they're not getting the first one answered. They'll put in two, three, four,
Yeah,
and,
that's
and five
what I
tickets
would
with
probably
exactly the
also
same.
do, like out of
No, I'm
frustration,
not.
right?
I'm not blaming
Yeah,
anyone, and I know I would. I probably do the same thing. But all we can do is try to get more people trained up, try to become more efficient, try to make people responsible for this situation, and see if we can't catch up. But like I say, there is an end game to it, because if we cut down the initial tickets by more than half, then the larger staff, as we continually increase it, will be able to catch up.
right.
Does that solve? The question is, does that really solve the problem today, right now? Probably not.
Yeah,
But does it create? The best we can do is create an end game uh, where the amount of tickets, where we're resolving far more tickets than come in,
right,
and
right,
uh, and so one way to do that is to actually have it where tickets are resolved on the local level before they ever get to Pimax.
right. So at the moment,
All I can say is that my own ship will be a tight one.
okay, that's good. That's good to hear.
You know,
Hopefully, you will bring your ship over to China and help
no,
them
and they've
tighten it up too.
yeah, and they have been extremely interested in those kinds of things.
Okay.
So, in fact, they have test versions of the software that we run here there as well. So, but when you already have thousands of tickets in a
Yeah.
system, it's really hard to transition over to something new. But with the new offices coming up clean, they can begin with something new, something that's well
Right.
tested,
Right.
something
Got it.
something that works.
So, how many people is Pimax like hiring right now in China and in the US in order to take care of these problems?
Well, in China, our business office has 79 people, and in the U.S. we'll have 4,
Okay.
and in March. And right now we're just getting started with that. We're doing the training on the software. Fortunately, I was able to bring in people who uh, had used my systems before, that have worked with me before.
Okay.
So they're already experts on this kind of thing, and hit the ground running. But
Yeah.
but that said, in China, we've been adding people as well, and actually taking people off of other teams and moving them into the customer service to try to increase the manpower there. But again, they've got to learn how to do it.
Yeah, of
They've got to
course.
learn how to process tickets and those kinds of things. So, in order to increase that team, we had to take away from other teams.
Yeah, but
Um,
what is your priority right now at this moment in time?
oh, priority is shipping and customer service.
Okay.
Everybody, the whole,
Yeah.
now, of course, you have to do things like bug stomping on the software and the firmware, and you have to do service and repair for the units that are coming back, and of course you have to have an analysis team that analyzes devices that do come back to make sure that the problems that are shown don't repeat themselves.
Right.
So and you have to try to get to the root cause of any problem. We now have a fault tracking system
Mhm.
where where we statistically track every fault that comes in,
All right.
and and then we try to get right down to the root cause, and that's something that's new, relatively new, is in the last month or so. But like I say, the Chinese New Year cut that amount of time we had on that in half, almost.
Okay.
So
Got it. I got another super chat. Thank you so much, Perplexer, for sending over 20 Swiss francs. And Perplexer says, expand the knowledge base, and there will be fewer tickets. Yeah, that's a good
Ah,
idea.
no, we've done that.
You've done that.
Uh,
Okay.
yes, we have. We actually have a new knowledge base,
Okay.
and it's got an AI system in it, one that I wrote myself and have
That's
refined over
cool.
the years, and it's pretty slick. I'm a little bit proud of it,
You,
and it did cut down on some of my. We had a massive number of tickets in some of my previous
okay.
works that we had to process every day. We had a much larger number of customers we had to help, than
Okay.
this, and so the system's designed to help a great number of people and make sure they're satisfied, so they don't have to necessarily call,
Hmm.
and it actually calculates which answers that are seen the most, and it bubbles those up to the top.
Right. That makes sense.
And I have a parser that can figure out English language questions when you type them
Okay.
in.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's a good
that'll
point.
be up. That'll
That's
be up in a couple weeks,
that will
and
help.
we're entering it in now. We've already got about 100 knowledge base articles in it.
Okay, great. I think this is really a step into the right direction, and I also think that the local offices taking care of these questions will be a big help instead of sending it over to the Chinese people who probably don't even understand them. But talking about that, what about the Germans, the Spanish, and the Italians
Sure.
who do not speak English and who would also need somebody to take
Right.
care of their problems?
Well, we've been interviewing people. We even had some interviews today
Okay,
on a head of the European office. We've been talking to people in Spain. We've got people in the UK that we've been talking to. So yeah, we're gonna definitely be adding support personnel for the EU. We've been looking to hit the ground running there, and to try to, and one of the options is to loop in a company that already has some logistics and service capability,
okay.
existing logistics and service capability, so that when they take on the mantle, they'll be able to impact it right away.
Right. Okay. So, but this English, this European Service Center is probably also going to be English speaking. There won't be sit German one and
No,
the Spanish one and the
it's
Italian
in
one, or
Austria.
it's in Austria. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good. They should be able to speak German.
they do.
Yeah. Right.
They do. I talked to them today, and whether or not that'll be the avenue that we go,
Okay.
I don't know. There's a little bit of nuts and bolts that have to happen for that kind of thing to make it to the end game over the next week or two.
Yeah.
But no, our thinking is that we try to loop in a business that has, and we've talked to quite a few that already has service and logistic capability, and this one that we've been talking to is already familiar with Pimax,
Right.
and they
Okay.
have them, and so we've been we really think that's the fastest way,
Right.
and of course, and that's the same thing that'll also cut down on the tickets that come into into the Shanghai office,
Okay.
and therefore give them a chance to, with the increased personnel plus fewer tickets, to catch up.
But when do you think this is going to happen for the Europeans? And yeah, so again,
It'll
my friend
it'll We're
here in
trying to
Germany,
accelerate it.
he has to wait,
Yeah,
right? He's now
yeah,
stuck with his Pimax and it's not working. It sucks.
yeah, it does. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it
So he
other
has to
than
wait.
we did. Well, let's put it this way: our original plan was to duplicate the U.S. What we did in the U.S. office in
Yeah.
Europe,
Right.
and now that plan has changed, and the new plan, in order to cut, because that was going to mean early April to late, sometime in April when we had something, the beginnings of something there. But now, if we bring in a business that already has logistics and service capability, for Europe, then it should cause the resolution to happen much faster. It should cut about a month off of it.
Okay. Got it. You know what I always feel about Pimax? You can really feel it's a startup. And
Yeah,
being a startup, it means like jumping off a cliff and assembling the airplane on the way down and hoping that's going to fly before you crash. And it feels just exactly like this now with the customer service. Like you try to make the headsets and you succeeded now at this? partially, right? And now the next big thing is being able to do the customer service, and now you have to, yeah, to do a good job on this one. And
There's a lot of
it's not easy,
aspects.
right? It's not easy.
There's a lot of aspects to that. You've got to cut down on, you always, on any manufacturing business, you've got to cut down. In order to cut down on customer service, you cut down on the defects. You also try to cut down on problems during installation, setup. Make it easier for someone to understand what the different menu options are and everything. There's a million things that can cause a person to wind up contacting customer service, and to cut down, on as many of those things as a percentage of the total units sold is what any business should be, striving for.
Right.
So, and there's a lot of angles to doing that. And but I've only been around since December.
I know. So I don't want to personally blame you for that.
And
I know
I had
like,
CES and the Chinese New Year subtracted from that. So to bring sort of some of my experiences, to the table with some of the things that I have,
take some time.
Which it does, and and that we've had some interruptions because of the shows and because of the holiday. But that said, they're not people sitting around thinking, oh man, how do we avoid having to answer questions from from customers. They don't think that way at all. They're literally a room full of engineers that they're very, very they know that people need to be taken care of, and they're not they're not twiddling their mustache wondering ways of dreaming up ways to avoid it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I met your team. I met the team.
Yeah.
They're all great guys. They're all trying so hard, and probably they're just like too busy. There's too many things that they have to do. Like this Alan's son, again, right?
Yeah.
This guy should really get a pay raise.
Can you imagine sitting at your desk? And
even tickets. Oh my
and
goodness.
even I'm not in the tech support. Even between Reddit and the forums and my emails, I probably receive around 140 per day.
Right.
Requests. So I mean, if I literally could spend every minute of every day just on that.
Right. Of course.
And
Anyways,
but I've got to get this office.
Customers, of course. But the thing is, customer service is just so important, right? Especially at this moment in time. It kind of like shapes what people think of Pimax, right? You don't want to be the company that makes amazing headsets, but when they're broken, you're on yourself. So you really got to get better with this part, I think.
And that resonates through the whole company. It really does. It's just we're just a small group. And with thousands of tickets,
right?
So and separating those and properly responding to them, we had to have a plan, to both catch up on them and solve them, and then also reduce the number that are coming in. So and we have that, but it's going to take a little time for the plans that were made to solve that will be fully active.
Right. Got it. Okay, so this was the first big part, talking about the support. Now,
I would just add one small little tidbit to that.
Okay.
I've actually solved a very similar conundrum before. I went into a project that had 16,000 tickets waiting, and a lot of angry people, and where they oversold the products into electronic products into Target stores, and they had a huge number of angry, and within about 2 months, we had completely cleaned up the whole thing. So I would just tell you that anybody that's sitting there thinking, oh my God, these guys will never get together, we will.
Okay, all right, that's good to hear, and I'm going to let Hoshi know. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Gaming and Still Life, for your contribution, for your super chat, and I will ask your question a bit later when it fits a bit more into the whole thing. But Gaming and Still Live, I will ask you a question. So let's now go to the second big part of this area of problems.
Okay.
And this is the quality of the devices that you're sending out, that you have sent out, and that you're still sending out. There are problems. There seem to be problems with Q&A, and how the devices are tested, because I got lots of emails, and I got lots of messages of questions of people who tell me, hey, you have to ask Kevin about this part. I got sparkles, like sparkles in my
The
five
cable.
in my headset. And you know what,
Yeah.
Kevin? Me too.
Yep.
I got that
Yep.
too. And I'm even this YouTuber that you should make 100% sure not to send the faulty cable. No.
I
You shouldn't send the faulty cable to anybody. But especially to those guys. I mean, isn't there anybody who would like double and triple check every little thing? Why do people have sparkles in their headsets?
Well, there's a couple of kinds of checks you can do on a cable when they're coming off. Buy cables you typically get made at a third party, and which we do. But a lot of ways to check a cable. One way to check cables with a continuity check and a signal check. So that was the kind of test they were doing on those cables, and they weren't actually connecting them to a headset to run the signal through them and see what the result was in a headset like we do now. About 2 to 3 weeks ago, just before the Chinese New Year, was the very beginnings of when they were checking the cables where they physically were plugging them into the headsets and not doing continuity checks. But you got to know there's thousands of units where they just did the continuity check and not the device. So therefore, it turns out that the devices are particularly sensitive to even a small short and a small gap in that shielding. So,
Yeah.
And that's what causes that. But yeah,
Okay. So now I have a faulty cable here, and lots of other people also. What do we do now?
we actually have increased the number of cables that are coming in. In
Okay.
fact, for the U.S. office, I made sure that in the shipment, one of the shipments that's coming here, it includes a shipment of cables, but
Right.
but they also have more cables coming into the Shanghai office as well. So, but yeah, on the cable side, we're going to definitely in any situation where we discover that that's an issue, we will get out a new cable to the customer.
Right, but
So,
this is just like one part, right? It's the Q and
oh,
A. The Q and A. Do you have a Q and A engineer? Like the thing is, Kevin.
many.
The thing is,
That's a
wh-
big part of the company.
when you have lots of engineers, I know. But the thing is,
But Q&A engineers too,
right, when I was a tester for Pimax, right? When I was
right?
testing the device with all the others, with Sweetviver and Voodoo and all the others, like it was like a bit shocking for me as a German engineer to get those test builds, and I could tell they were tested not at all before they sent out to us, to the testers. It was like
You,
ridiculous. It was
you
so
were dealing
bad.
with a company that had 25 people,
All right, all right,
at
okay,
the time, which was pretty small for, it's a pretty small group considering you have to have, all the facets of business represented
right.
inside that number of
But
people.
at that time, like a half a year ago, I don't think it was
Yeah,
25. It was already more than 50, I think. I don't think
yeah,
it
a
was
lot
so
of them
small.
were. Yeah, a lot of them were. You got to keep in mind that not everybody there, even then, you know, were directly attached. But now there's a lot of people. Now it's grown a lot.
Right.
There's lots of new people. But like I say, when you bring in people from part time to full time, or they're working partially at another job, and you bring them in
Yeah.
full time, that all of those expansion things take people off the line to try to bring new people up.
Sure.
So,
Just like,
and you're talking about,
what's the matter with the quality assurance? Because I could tell at
yeah.
this point, I could tell for sure they have no idea what is quality assurance at this point in time. Really, no, there was none. In
Yeah,
a
no,
normal company for
I didn't see them that far back.
right,
If I had
that
seen
was
it, if I
unbelievable.
had, let me just say, if I had seen it then, uh, maybe I wouldn't be sitting here, you
At
know.
that point in time, it was
Uh,
it was unbelievable, really.
but what I saw, the times I've been there, um, they have rooms of people, literally doing Q&A, and the Q&A process, while it needed some refinement, I thought.
Yeah.
Um, it did exist, and it exists in a fairly large way, and it's more than one stage. But I thought the efficiency of it and some other things of it needed some, some input, not just from me, but from other people, and they've been adding to that.
Okay.
When I was there, the testing process was expanded considerably. Now remember,
Okay.
most of those devices that got through that testing are just barely now arriving in people's hands. So, they had to do the two-stage shipping. They had to get it had to, and it was a lot of it happened past the or right at the new year. So, a lot of those the 336 unit shipment went out right after they got back. But and some of those were the very first units that really went through the extra testing. But now there's three-stage testing. There's testing at the plant, there's testing at the factory, and then there's testing at the packaging. So, and every piece of it gets tested. So, everything that has been reported gets a special look over, compared to before. And you do get a lot more, some more fallout as a result of that. Like with the cables, our fallout rate at the factory was on those cables was like 18%. Sort of finding them out before they go out. And that's when it became pretty apparent that actually could be a problem in ones that are already out there.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
But that said, I think that every piece does need to be single and double checked. Most of those processes where it gets the extra checks, like I say, the units that went through that are only now appearing in people's hands. And like I say, we've added. We literally have people camping at the plant, some of the plants that deliver the parts.
Right.
So right now, I think it's the checking is getting up to up to a level that I think will be satisfactory for most people.
All right. So one question that was on lots of people's minds was like the housing, right? The housing, like for quite a few people, also that I know, some people who had problems with cracks in their housing, and also for me,
That problem is extremely rare now, and that's an easy problem to solve, because
how did that ever get through Q&A? Didn't you do some falling tests with the devices? Hello, check. Oops, now everything is gone. Stop. Sorry, are you still there? Okay, now we're back.
I'm here.
Now we're back. Okay, we lost the
We had
connection.
a little internet thing. I don't know how much of you heard.
No, I didn't hear. So the thing is like the cracking of the devices.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me talk to that just for a second. That is not a difficult problem. It is a difficult problem to detect, and the reason is it comes down to when you have a plastic mold, and when you have a plastic mold the size of the Pimax device, it's a pretty large mold. It's not something you can 3D print very easily, for instance.
Right.
It's a big mold, and it uses a large form. So how fast you cool down the plastic and some other aspects of it can affect how brittle the plastic is. And so when they were shooting some of them, we wound up with some brittle plastics, and it's thin enough that a combination of brittle and thin can cause it to crack over time. It's hard to test for that though, because and the best way is to put a temperature profile in when you're shooting the plastics, which they have now done.
Okay, so how about people who got a device that cracked now? Can they get a new one?
Yeah, no. People with cracks in the case, that's something that we clearly is a manufacturing defect. So
okay.
It's just a matter of having enough cases to do that repair. Now, in the case of our local office in the U.S., we do have some housings in the shipment, and we're going to be doing that. We've been shooting extra housings so that when we do take in devices for repair, we can replace the housings.
Right. Okay.
So
got it. So that's a clear answer. If your Pimax has cracks, you can get a new one
absolutely.
from Pimax. That's good to hear. Cool, great. So in terms of Q&A, it seems like you're improving. At least that's what I'm getting from your answers.
Yeah,
And
I wasn't when I first saw it, apparently it was in a dramatically better state than when you did.
all right, yeah, it
So,
seems
of course,
so.
that was many months later,
Okay,
but
yeah.
but yeah, I saw in my initial experience, I saw at least 16 or 17 people doing QA,
Okay.
and they
But
had a decent procedure, and now there's over
okay,
20.
right. But I'm also thinking about Q&A for software code. So I have a
Sure,
software background. Probably I think you too.
I
And
do.
right, so you know like how it is in normal companies. You will do
Ah,
like a code review if you do any new code, right? You have to sit
mhm.
together with your superior and tell them, okay, this variable I change it. I mean, at least in German companies we do it like that. Probably also in the States, I think. But clearly, this is not
Pretty.
happening.
Where I worked when I was at at the Space Center, we had I don't know a
NASA.
dozen.
Right,
There you go.
right, right.
We had a very large number of steps that we had to take before code could be
Exactly. It's normal, right?
moved
Normally.
before it could be moved into a production
Right.
environment, and then even after it was in a production environment, it was in a simulation
Yeah, of course.
scenario.
Sure. But
Of course, you don't on this kind of thing. You don't. People aren't going to lose their lives over
right.
if you find a bug in some game
But I must
somewhere. It's
say,
not a
for me,
life
I
and
was
death.
kind of close to losing at least my mind when I was when I was testing the Pimax together with the others because we got those
Yep.
software builds which completely sucked, honestly speaking, and I could tell we were the only ones who tried this. They have never even checked run once in their environment, and it was terrible. So. That part,
I
I'm wondering, is the software part still as it is as it was like a couple of months ago? Because like also like the change logs were pretty much like bugs fixed.
Right. No, we made the first step. I don't know if you read the change log. I'm a fan of having change logs and known issues
Yeah,
documented.
of course, you need to have that, right?
And so you want to have a known issue list. You want to have a change log list, and then further, it's nice to have a forward guidance so that you kind of know what they're working on and attempting to add. So you actually normally you have three pieces to that. You can in the 103 we did a page on the forum where we actually did have a change log, known issues,
Right,
and a
right.
little and at least a couple sentences of forward guidance. So there was a genuine stab at that. And at 106, which is supposed to come out today,
Yeah, okay.
will should have that as well. So I think you'll see some improvements there, but again, it's going to for a lot of these things to really appear in in things that customers see. It's going to take a little bit of time, and but now historically I was pretty rigid in my on the software releases,
Yeah,
and but kind of instilling much of that into sort of an existing process is hard.
I know.
But
I
they
really hope you do that.
I will say this: they've also added people onto that team too,
All right, because yeah, I just got a
and
message here from Michael Jeffries from Pytool 91 to Python 95. It said fixed tracking as the changelog.
right. We didn't that was those versions were actually before my time.
All right, okay, good.
103 was the first one that I had any uh, where I could even offer any advice on guidance related to the kinds of information that I think customers want to see.
All right.
But it isn't. You got to keep in mind the information. It's not just information that customers want to see. We've been talking to NVIDIA and AMD and even Intel on some of these things, and it's information they want to see.
Okay.
So
Of course, you need
it
to do
goes
it.
well beyond. Yeah. So to answer your question, in this version that we're just now released is the first one that some of them ran through their process too. There was no external process
Okay.
for, and now the graphics card companies are beginning to chime in with requested changes. We actually when we started doing that process, it actually resulted in us having to pull the drivers down because some functions were being used that they didn't approve of.
Okay, that's
But
why that's why you cannot download the Pi tool right now, as push the button
right,
said. Okay, good to know. I
and
mean, good to know why you're like pulling it down, and that's still
no,
people
it
don't know
wasn't
why. Why is it not there?
it wasn't actually a technical. The deprecated function versus the current one are very similar, except that the deprecated functions are ones they're going to remove, um, and that they don't want to continue to support. And the Pi tool supported a couple of older functions,
Mhm.
but that said, we've switched to the new functions, and in this new one, it has that isn't really a technical change in that it doesn't that particular change doesn't fix anything in particular because the old function and the new function are virtually identical.
Right.
But they in the agreement with them in a hard agreement with them, you sign with them an agreement that says if they deprecate a function, you're required by the terms of your agreement to stop using it.
Mhm.
And they didn't realize that one little piece of the agreement. So when it was revealed that we use that, they said, hey, you better get another one out that doesn't use that.
Right. Okay,
And
it's great to get these answers now, but like the people are wondering why things like this happening without knowing these background information. And then there's this lack of communication that has been there before. So I think there could
sure.
still be improvements. Like
Oh, of
it's
course.
great that we're having this conversation right now, right? It shows that you really want to be open. It shows that you're not hiding anything. But
No,
yeah, there should be more, I think. And I just got a question
I,
here.
they were debating on whether to release that kind of information or not.
Okay, I got it. So I got another super chat from Brad Bullock. Thank you so much, Brad. And
Mhm.
there's a question that fits into this here right now, so I'm going to pose it right away. And gaming is still live. I'm still going to ask your question. Does
Sure.
Pimax have a company blog where we can get updates on improvements from the business end? If not, is it a possibility in the future?
A blog, a business
A
blog.
business blog
Yeah.
where you would like kind of announce these things, or would you say
Yeah.
your
No,
forum is that?
we have intern. I would no. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a good idea. All of that information that we have is all internal right now. We
Okay,
do have a running, um, a pretty elaborate, business case discussion that's a blog of sorts, and then we have one that's exposed to employees, so that employees can have some forward vision on what's going on.
mhm,
Because remember, a lot of people kind of live in a bubble that work for the company, and they don't get to uh, figure out what's going on and what we're doing and why and all that. And so we have it exposed to employees.
right.
Um, Having a version of that exposed, public facing, is something that's probably a good idea. We'll look into it.
Yeah, cool, great. Talking about the internals of the company, there's one question that kind of interests me. It's about the company culture in the Shanghai office, and I'm wondering how does the company management deal with incompetence or incompetent team members? Well, yeah, it's a fact. There must be some team members who are not the sharpest tools in the box. Let's face it. It's normal. But then normally you would let go of them and get new ones to replace them. Like a good rule of thumb will be the low five.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, now you're gone. Wait a moment. Yes. Ah, this is now the exciting part.
Uh, am I back?
Wait. Okay. No, now we're back.
Hello?
Now we're back. So,
Okay.
so
Yeah. The sharpest
there,
tools in the box.
yeah,
Okay, I'll jump on
there
that.
was not censorship on Pimax
Uh,
side. I hope.
no, we're
No,
having a little bit. Every now and then there's a hiccup.
I'm kidding. So,
Not my fault, I swear.
no. So again, there must be some incompetence. That's normal in some companies. So
Sure.
how does Pimax deal with these tools that are not the sharpest in the box? Normally,
Sure.
you would cut off the low 5% in a normal company
Mm.
in a Western run company, right? You get rid of the low 5% that are not performing,
Yeah.
and you get new ones.
People.
So you always get yeah, improving. How is it in Pimax?
Well, there's in this case, there's Pimax, and then there's the local offices, where at Pimax, they just have insufficient people just to run around and prune, you know. But you'd wind up with a real trouble then. But so you can't really. There's that sort of option probably isn't easily there. No, for me, yeah, I'm often considered to be by most someone who's not real. If I see someone I think isn't getting the job done, I've had that talk many times,
Right.
countless times, where I sat down with somebody and I said, "Listen, this isn't for you, and you need to move on
You
down the
can still
road." And
become
I'm
a
sorry,
YouTuber.
yeah, or whatever, but not this.
Yeah, right.
But that's a tough discussion to have, and you have to be willing to do it. Um, at Pimax, though, we did institute responsible parties,
Okay.
and that's one way to get at the bottom, to get to the bottom of people who just simply aren't getting the job done within within their slot. So. The problem with having a person of responsibility is when you have people that wear five hats, their response would be, well, hey, you had me doing this and that and unrelated thing, and so what we've been doing is trying to get people to focus within one thing and become the person of responsibility for the task that they do, and so that process takes a little time to implement, but creating systems that allow that to happen is part of what we've been doing the last little bit.
Okay,
so
that's good. So you're implementing like new systems. You're helping.
We're not doing it to the draconian degree that for instance, Steve Jobs did.
Right.
Where he would run around handing people mops and here, this is your new job, sir. But we did implement some absolutely responsible parties for their own task, and when you do that, anything that goes wrong, whether it's their fault or not, becomes their fault.
That sounds like the right thing to do.
So we've actually created some department heads that do that where that is exactly the way they're judged, and where it doesn't matter if they think it's someone else's fault. It doesn't matter if someone had another hat on and was doing something else. It becomes their responsibility. And so I think that's been having an effect. But again, things like that take a little time.
Sure.
None of these things I'm talking about solve the problem tomorrow.
Right. But it's very good that you're aware of these problems and actually that you have solutions that you only need to implement now.
We've been hitting we've been working on some of these things for a while. And we had the holiday, we had CES, so
right.
You don't get to focus on them to the high degree that you want. But I will just say they are definitely interested in improving the situation. But again, you have to devise a plan and execute it, and when you do that, you're going to have a little bit of time where you're suboptimal.
Got it. All right, cool. Thanks for the answer. Then let's get to the third big part of the problems before we go to the user questions. There are still more questions, but the third big part is people who have backed the backed the Pimax, but who have still not yet received it. And then on the other hand, like you're saying, like, okay, you're now ramping up the 8K production, and some 8Ks though popping up somewhere in Korea with some YouTubers showing them in the camera, like, hey, what's going on with that?
And on Alibaba.
On Alibaba, and how is it possible? And
the Alibaba one is fake.
And did Pimax actually really honor backers first?
Yeah. First of all, I'll stomp the Alibaba one real quick.
Okay.
They just use pictures from Dallas from the forum and put them up on a on a page, and you can see they didn't even bother to use new ones. They used pictures from way back.
Okay.
They had pictures from even before we had the 5K plus. Those all say 5K.
Right.
Those are pictures from more than 6 months ago.
Right. Okay.
But way before my time. So, but they're really eager to to sell them.
Sure.
And they've got products on there that don't exist all over Alibaba.
Okay.
So that I would say that one isn't. But
So how about the
on the
Korea issue?
yeah, no, the Korea one was real, but they did it was supposed to be a pilot, and they were supposed to hold the units that they got back, and they delivered those, back a while back.
Okay.
And it was a pretty small number. Does that mean it was right or a good or a wise plan? No.
Okay.
If I had been asked about that, I would have counseled against it.
Of course, it's a big mistake, right? You cannot tell
Yeah.
everyone, hey, backers first, and
Yep.
then you send those units to Korea. Like how many units are we talking about?
Like 25.
Okay, so it's a very slow, very 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 little number.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Um,
that doesn't make sense. That's one of those business decisions doesn't make sense. For 25 units, you don't need to risk your reputation, right?
yeah. But but that said, the as far as the order, when you talk about people who are pre-orders getting units before backers do, that is another point of contention.
Right,
And
exactly.
again, on that one, the pre-orders and the backers were shipped in the same shipment. So when the units hit the freight forwarder, then the freight forwarder decides how the units go to the end user. And Pimax doesn't control the order of delivery. It's basically unless you ship units one at a time into a local country, you can't really, even then, you can't control what order they land in. And in some places it takes a long time to receive. In some places it happens real fast. So you're going to have that.
Right.
But it's unfortunate. Even I know if I have been waiting well over a year for my device, and then next some guy who just ordered his somehow got it before I did. That
sucks, of course.
Yeah, I would be I'd be upset about it too.
Right.
But then again, I would just say it's really hard to control the landing order when you ship those.
Right. So
and those are all 5K plus too. So.
All right. So how about the 8Ks now? So other than this 25 pieces batch that went to Korea first,
right.
Is it that now, or are we going to see other 8Ks popping out in other stores? Have there been other test batches that Pimax sent around?
Yeah, no, there were a couple.
Oh,
and
really?
they were even smaller than that one.
Okay, but to Korea or to other countries?
I think one went to like India.
Oh, really?
And remember those are kind of unique. Some of them have special power adapters and special instructions and things like that.
Right.
And the dealers wanted to see what the sell-through rate to determine if they're worth carrying later on in the year.
This is really a big problem that was there probably before your time. The transparency issue. You always had the feeling that the communication is not 100% truthful, and that's why
I will
you
say
couldn't
for the
trust
record.
them.
Yeah, I will say for the record, if people can look back at my posts and the things I've said positive and negative things. I've been revealed when I thought the news was bad, and I've been willing to do that. And it's a hard thing to do because you kind of expose yourself to
of course.
to the brunt of the. But no, I think it needs to happen, and I think good and bad news needs to be released when it's there.
Right. Just be transparent about it.
Yeah, and if something is wrong, it should be worthy of discussion. I will say, that sometimes things that are wrong are taken to a degree that's much higher than it is too.
Right.
In the case of the 5K plus, we've actually manufactured all of the known addressed 5K pluses now. The other question is what about ones where the addresses aren't resolved? And and there's hundreds of those.
Right.
And even those we shipped into the freight forwarding warehouses. So we've shipped more than enough for all the backers on the 5K plus, even when the addresses weren't resolved.
Right.
So when they get the addresses fixed and they figure out the final destination address, then, or if they shipped it to the wrong address and they have to figure out that it's coming back. Even those situations, there's enough units on the 5K plus to cover them all.
Right.
Um, so all of them are shipped, even the ones that are unresolved. They're just at the
Okay.
freight forwarders.
Okay.
Now for the 8K, to your next question on the, trying to blast through these things.
Yeah.
On the 8K, you had some production right before the Chinese New Year for the last 3 days. We produced nothing but 8Ks, and then when they all started getting back and filtering in, took about 3 days to get the factory up and running again. But they started producing 8Ks right away, and they produced them until they ran out of panels, and then they waited until the new panels came in. But when they did, there was some fallout. The percentage of panels that were good um, was not high enough
Hmm.
to. So that's when we sent the engineers to literally go to the panel supplier and sit there and check them as they come off, and then that did resolve the problems that were related to the fallout on those panels.
Okay.
And so now the panels are now arriving back to the factory in quantity again.
All right. That's
And
good to
and
hear.
so we made an announcement this morning that we devised and released early this morning, like 5 o'clock this morning, my time, Eastern time.
Hmm.
Um, that where we went into the 8K production, and we mentioned that we would have all the 8Ks shipped by March the 8th.
Okay. By March the 8th, all 8Ks are going to be out. This is, of course,
Hmm.
good news. So,
Yeah,
but again, I still need to talk about this
and,
trust issue, right?
and they'll be manufactured, in the next day. They'll actually be manufactured into this month,
Okay.
where they're coming off the line. But then they
Right.
have to go through Q&A and they go through the rest of the process.
Got it. So we have to
Yeah,
go back to this trust issue, and it's always hard for a Chinese company to appeal to the Western audience, right? There's some trust.
sure.
There's some trust issues, but these problems that we had with the communication not being 100% truthful, finding out that some units actually have not been shipped to the backers but to some stores in Korea, that hurt the trust that people have, and
I
that's why
agree.
probably some people do not want to order a Pimax. So it seems like that this kind of yeah, like bad culture was there before you joined the team, not being able to communicate or not being able to communicate in the right way. Probably they didn't
Sure.
mean to
I
say
don't think
untruthful
they.
things because they are nice people. I met them, right? But they're not aware of how important it is to tell the truth and to be transparent. And I'm wondering,
Yeah.
can you instill that culture into what you see in Shanghai? Because I don't think it's so easy to, as one person, to tell them, "Hey guys, now the Westerners, we want you to guys to be completely transparent."
Um, I think that it's something that the way they want to expose information is something that we discuss every day.
Hmm.
And that's where I hope to make an impact. And I think maybe I have. They would have to be the judges. Other people would have to be the judges of that. But if you read the information coming out and the last bit, hopefully you can see extra transparency in there and a lot more information in there, good and bad, positive and negative. When it's bad news, we put the bad news out. But to impact that in ways that it is a discussion and always ongoing on
Sure.
on how to release information and what information to release. I will just say that most of that ultimately does cross my desk, and the reason is it has to be proofread and checked, and I've added
That's good.
because when I get sent the stuff to look at, I will then go and run it through. I'll start talking to other people. I'll get on Ding and I'll run through every fact in there, and I'll try to make sure everybody's on the same page. And
Okay.
sometimes I'll get them to send me some documents, and I just try to run through it. And
Right.
and then I'll revise the whole thing, and then I'll send it back to and I'm hoping that in each time, I hope that I get it much closer to the real
Right. To the bottom
gritty,
of
the
it.
sort of the bottom gritty piece that
Okay.
that it really is.
So
And
I must say, actually, for me, it's kind of peace of mind that everything kind of goes through your desk. So I think that is really, really good, and that will give lots of people more confidence to, yeah, probably even purchase a Pimax. So I'm wondering now if somebody would like to order a Pimax now, right now.
Right.
They're going to your website. They are buying the Pimax 5K Plus, for example. Probably that's the
Right. Right.
device that is the easiest to buy right now.
Sure.
When do they get it?
We're going to be right this second. There are very few 5K pluses since every device that we manufactured went to the freight forwarders. Now, it's a little bit complicated when you say when does a particular person get it,
Yeah, but just like
because
give us a
because
ballpark number.
because there's a lot of units at freight forwarders waiting to be shipped to various destinations. So
Okay.
in some cases, there's more than the total number of pre-orders and the total number of backers, and therefore there's a few available to go to people theoretically, depending on where they live. What we want to do moving forward is to have they don't have any EDI functionality inside that cart. And that's another thing I hope to have an impact on is have where all the carts have EDI,
What does it mean, EDI?
electronic data interchange, and it's where it pulls from the local inventory from the freight forwarder on the spot.
Okay.
So when you put in your zip code, it'll ask you when you try to order something and you plop in your zip code or your postal code, depending on your region. It should pull from the inventory at the freight forwarder and see
Okay.
which units are spoken for, which ones are not spoken for, and exactly how many are available. And by doing that, the customer gets an extremely nice vision into what's going to happen next. Right now, you don't get that, and that's a massive, it's a thing that needs to get better.
All
So,
right. Got it.
and
So can you
the solution
Yeah.
is EDI in the cart.
Okay.
But the question is, if I was to just give a general answer and say,
Yes.
okay, somebody orders right now, they get a 5K plus, they go straight to it, and they're at some random location on the earth.
Right. So
How long would it be? I would say the longest it would be is 3 weeks from the date that they put it in.
3 weeks. All right.
Mhm.
That doesn't sound so bad. So if I order a
Yeah.
5K plus now, I'll get it in 3 weeks. That's actually quite a good lead
Yeah.
time, I think. I mean, it's acceptable. It's not like 3 months.
I think it's not. I'm not happy with that. It needs to be one day.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
we
would
need
be
to be
good.
ship. You need to be able to ship when someone places an order. Not only does it, they need to know immediately if it's going to ship or not, and
Right.
when, and
Right.
what day, they're going to arrive. They need a tracking number,
Like,
and they need to
when
be able to have total vision into that.
Right. When
That's
will
that's just good business.
when will you get to that stage where exactly that happens? Let's say I am here. Now let's make it easier. Let's say I'm in New York City. And when will you reach the point where I'm in New York City? I order that device tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, I'm gonna get it.
I think at the end of March, you'll see the beginnings of that.
Cool. That is really cool.
I
That is
think
amazing.
in April you will definitely see some of that, and in May I'll definitely have it down to 1 day ship by May,
Wow. That is a word. So, dear
and I'm
general
gonna have
public, listen to this. In May, Kevin said you will be able to order a Pimax, and the next day it's there in the states, right? In the states,
and the accessories too.
and the accessory. We're going to talk about the accessories a bit later.
Yep.
Going to be very exciting. Cool.
I
Very
hope I'm
nice.
helping here, by the
You
way.
do, and I would like to read out one super chat that I got from Squadra Course, and Squadra Course says, "Props to Kevin for answering the hard questions," and
Well,
I totally agree. I mean, this is not so easy to answer all these questions.
no, hey, we're we deserve to have to answer the hard questions. I mean,
Right, right.
somebody's got to sit here and do it, and well,
Exactly. And it's you. And I think that's amazing. And I think all the community appreciates it. And well, for me, I'm just trying to relay all the questions that I got, how I got them to you. And people were not happy. So that's why
goes with the territory.
I need to let you know about that. All right. Cool. So we got this one answered as well. Cool. So Pimaxes are on the way. The 8K is being produced right now, and yeah, that's a good. That's of course good. What about the 5K Business Edition?
As you know, that's going away
I mean,
It's
yeah,
going to.
the OLED
It's
version,
not.
the new name, the device.
It'll have a yeah. We're going to be reorganizing the SKUs on how they're categorized and
Right. So
um,
the 5K OLED version. Some people changed to it,
right.
and so when will they receive it?
Yeah, I think that uh, the production of that will go into a much larger state after March 1st,
Okay.
which is just right around the corner now.
Right.
Um, the panels have arrived, so we have the parts to do it. Um, and most so it's something that's on the schedule, and I have seen the revised schedules over at the plants, and I think you'll begin to see quantity production of that next month, and it'll be 1,000 plus produced of that model in March,
All right. Got it. So one
which is
quite.
more than the entire number of people that are wanting it. So
All right.
I'll just add that.
Got it. So talking about the 5K business edition, I got a question, and the question is, will you keep your word to let people upgrade the pledges from 5K plus to 5K business edition? Of course, with paying an additional $200. So this is a good question because
It
there
is.
was some confusion around at CES, right? When I was at CES, suddenly there was like a forum post like, no, it's done. You cannot change anymore. However, Pimax had said before, yeah, okay, we allow you to change until the three musketeers, which I happen to be a part of, got the reviews out. So there's again this disconnect of what you said and what you did, what Pimax did, how to deal with that.
Yeah. Uh, when I was asked if I thought that was a good idea, I have to admit I said no. you know,
Yeah,
uh, I think that Pimax's plan was incredibly generous to let people switch from the 8K to the 5K plus. Um, I think but the problem with it is you wind up with you have to a whole extra layer of questions you have to ask backers, and then if a person doesn't get the one that they think they are supposed to, um, now you have a whole new layer of trouble tickets, which we do.
right. But that is your
Um,
that's your fault, right?
um, the it is it's our fault for creating a program that allows that.
Right.
you know, um, again, you got to know that when people watch your reviews, there's a pretty good significant number of.
Yeah, you're gone right now. Check one,
Oh,
two. Yeah, now you're back.
can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Can you hear me?
I can
Okay,
hear
sorry
you.
about that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it, but I would just say there's a fair amount of people that have switched. There's one guy that switched 6 times,
Yeah.
um, and I think there's 41 people that have switched more than 3 times,
Right.
um, where they change their mind over and over again, and they say, "Well, I want the now I want the OLED. Well, no, I want the 8K. No,
Yeah,
switch me back to the 5K plus."
but the problem is that you introduced the OLED at a super late time.
Right.
So that's really not their problem. It's really Pimax's fault.
Like I say, I wouldn't have if I was if I was given the opportunity to suggest even the existence of the OLED version, I probably wouldn't have made that
Yeah, of course. Me too.
a SKU.
Me too. But
Um,
yeah.
but
Now
but
now it
that's
now it is how it is.
yeah. But I mean,
So what
you
to
can
tell those
imagine
people now?
that there was even going to be more. you know,
Yeah, that's
than
I
the
know.
three.
But now,
you know,
we have to get down
can you
to
imagine?
the answer now. Is Pimax going to honor what you said about being able to switch to the 5K business edition once the reviews of the Three Musketeers are out?
Uh, I think that they allowed the switching up to a certain point, and then and then after someone's particular unit is manufactured, then that's where the cutoff is.
Okay.
So, in other words, if a person has a 5K, if you have a 5K plus, and it's considered to be, your device is considered to be manufactured, that's where they set the cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone calls and say, I have a 5K plus, I want to switch to the OLED, and your device has already been manufactured, then, especially if it's already gone to the freight forwarder,
Mm-hmm. Then it's over.
then they're not allowing it. And so a lot of the people that are saying that they can't switch, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we were to allow it's a bit of a Pandora's box.
Yeah, I understand.
To let people en masse to simply, after they've already received it, to just simply send it back and pay some dollars. And like I say, it seems to me that for the moment, I think it's best that we just get everybody the devices that are known. If they want to put in the request, they can, and provided that their device is not at the freight forwarder, they could still switch, and then that would be upheld. But like I say, you can only uphold that
Right,
until your device is physically made.
Right, but now they're all at the freight forwarder already, right?
For the 5K plus,
Yeah.
all the devices for the 5K plus are at the. So if your device was a 5K plus and you try to switch, if you'd already switched from the 8K to the 5K plus, and then you try to switch to the OLED,
Yeah.
then then the odds are the request would be rejected for now.
Right. Okay. That's a bit unfortunate, right? That's really unfortunate, but that's really the problem of introducing that OLED version so late in the game and not getting out the review versions. I still don't have a review version right now.
Sure.
So there's lots of things that have been quite unfortunate about this 5K OLED version, in my opinion.
I agree. And opening up the Pandora's box for just the switching, sort of, having that as an option at all, probably shouldn't have really.
All right.
But that said, maybe we'll create a program after they're delivered where some things can happen, and we have. But for the moment, I just want to get the units delivered, and then think about programs that might allow for some things to happen later.
All right. Okay. So, yeah. So we have user Vorinami who asked this question in the first place. He's in the chat right now, and he says, "Okay, I will see about that, Kevin, because my unit was far from being built, yet he was not allowed to switch." So I think you really have to talk with the people in China who are answering those people, like Vorinami, who wants
I don't
to
know
switch.
about it. It's hard for me to answer an
Yeah, of
individual.
course.
I don't
I
know.
understand.
I can't speak to the veracity of
I know.
any
I understand.
individual.
I understand. It's just like it seems like there is a user, and he got like a negative reply, even though, yeah, his unit, as he says, was far from being built. But well, you have to check with every single person. But at the moment, you even don't have the capacity to do that. So yeah, at the moment we are in
That's
a
a
tough
lot of the
time.
ticket, and a lot
Yeah.
of these mini tickets again are not related to defectives. They're not related to anything. They're related to switching between devices and all kinds of unrelated, all kinds of things that aren't related to that, to someone who needs a replacement unit and things like that. It's a lot of other kinds of things, and to me, I think that a lot of these things are things that we need to try to automate. There needs to
Right.
be an automated system. If there's going to be some sort of an exchange for one unit for another, I think there ought to be where you just go to the site, you select your unit, you say, okay, I'm going to exchange it for this, and you have some methodology for that to happen.
Yeah.
A label is printed, and then it automatically happens.
Right.
That's the way I would have done it before, and that's the way I'd like to do it now.
I
But
know.
getting a system in there like that is going to
Takes
be,
time.
a couple months.
Yeah, I understand. So I'm sorry that you have to kind of take the blame for things that happened while you were not there yet, but it's just like
Oh, I
how it
don't
is.
mind.
It's just how it is right now.
No, I'm here
So
to fix things,
yeah, I know.
but there's a fair amount of things that need a little attention.
Sure, sure.
And 2 months, less than 2 months of actual time is, there's a lot to impact in a very short time, I think.
Right,
So,
right.
It's
Anyways,
going to take me. It's going to take a little bit.
right. So, anyways, user Vorinami is going to get in touch with you directly, Kevin. So then
Okay.
you can sort it out with him. Like one more email to the batch of 140 emails that you get every day to take care
I
of.
do. I will just
You're not
tell
getting
people
bored.
I do my very best to blast through those every day.
Yeah.
So
Okay. That's good. All right, Kevin. We've got lots of more tough questions to come.
sure.
Yeah. So I'm simply going to fire away here. Um, a question that's not so tough though, which is connected to the 5K plus for people who changed from the 8K. How about the vouchers? They were promised like to get this $100 vouchers since they kind of downgraded, which actually is not true because the 5K plus is better, at least in my opinion. But how about the hundred
I
dollars?
guess it's subjective a
Yeah,
little bit.
that's
Some of
right.
these things.
Anyways, how about the
Um,
voucher?
the vouchers are going to be pretty easy to process once we have some things for people to use the vouchers on. Uh, I would
Right,
look
right,
to right now. It's kind of a moot point
right.
when there's nothing to spend a voucher on. But to that end, we're going to have a fair amount of these accessories. Everything from our deluxe face pad to the regular different thickness face pads, different types of material, the rigid head strap. Some of those things are going to be, are included for backers. When it's someone who is not a backer, they'll be able to buy it. But there will be some options for different kinds of things to spend that on. Of course, the wireless module,
Right. We're going to talk about
which
those later as
which
well.
we're working on,
Okay.
and that the wireless module is a discount, and they can apply. They'll get the discount plus they get to apply their $100 if they want that. And the hand tracking, of course,
Right.
are some things. But yeah, yes, we're working on that, on becoming making those things generally available.
Okay. Great. Once the
And the
accessories are
vouchers.
there, yeah.
The vouchers will go out in one big mass email when there's accessories available to. But again, if I assigned someone to try to create the list of everybody that gets one right now, then customer service would would go down,
Right.
and
Got it. Okay, cool. So let's go to the next question. Can you still hear me? Yeah, right?
yeah.
Okay. All right, the next question. I have a 5K plus with black dots. Now, will I get a replacement for the version with the display that does not have the black dots problem?
So we did some testing on when I started reading and seeing threads that had photos of devices with black dots. We started asking people to send photos to us to try to nail that down, and what we found was that there's a vast difference between the degree of that on different panels. So some photos, no matter what you did, it was extremely difficult to see, and even the customer would say they have a hard time seeing it. But then you have ones where it's extremely where it's just super obvious, and it's no doubt that it's a panel that was out of calibration. So because that is subjective, that's going to be handled on a case-by-case basis.
All right, but how to do that?
I think
let's say I've
a fair amount of them don't rise to the level of being a defect. Would be
right.
my take on it.
So your answer is case by case basis. So
Right.
how I got a 5K plus now. I see those black dots, and I know that the new units that you're sending out, they don't have them. It's a bad feeling for me, right? I was one of the early backers. I got the first 5K plus ever made on this planet Earth. All
Right.
right, I'm a bit fucked because I got the black dots. So
Right.
I want the version without the black dots, Kevin.
Let's put it this way: you may have one that subjectively would be one that is considered that rises up to enough that it would qualify that way. But that's why we just can't that kind of thing. You can't just say, okay, everybody send your units back, and no matter for any reason, and
Right.
get
Right.
a new one.
But this is
Except
not
if
this
I
is not
did
for
that,
any reason. This is not for any reason. This is something that really bothers people, the black dots. And it's not in the new
yes,
versions, right? So it is a problem.
because
So
it's subjective though, anyone
yeah.
could claim to have that issue.
But how, if you say
So
case by case basis, how exactly is it going to go down? Let's say, okay,
because
I have
again,
them.
it would turn into an exchange program, in
Right.
effect, sort of an infinite exchange program, and you just can't allow it.
I understand.
It's a tough decision. Uh, it's one of those things that, it's not gonna where you're gonna wind up with some people who aren't happy as a result of it. But the
Yeah.
truth is, you've got to limit. Uh, to have a mechanism to limit the number of those that come back for reasons like that. And I would just say that because the problem varies so greatly between devices, that we'll come up with the mechanism where that can be analyzed and returns authorized in some cases,
Right.
but not in all cases.
Okay, but shouldn't you know from the serial numbers which batches had these problems?
We did try to determine that and that exact way. And when I came in, I actually asked. I said, can we? Is that literally a set of panels that where they all exhibited that, and they didn't.
Right.
And where I tried 6 or 7 different ones, and I had never seen it. And finally, I got a hold of one where I could really tell, and and it looked like one of the pictures that you had, or that maybe it was Sweeviver had put
Yeah.
up where they had mentioned it. And I found a unit that did look like that. And I'm like, aha, now I see what you're talking about. But but there were 5 other ones in that same batch and with consecutive serial numbers that didn't. you know,
Yeah.
so to just say serial number X through Y would cause a whole bunch of units that don't have that issue to wind up coming back.
Right.
So so it's going to have to be a case by case basis. I can't think of any other solution to it.
Right. So if I'm bothered by it, I can get in touch with Pimax support. And what happens next?
Well, for right now, we're gonna. My suggestion would be, and is a bit of an unfortunate one because I can't, we can't the replacements for everyone for that particular reason it can't be instantaneous, you know. So I would suggest that you take the best way to do it is to take an image of something that shows us the problem on the screen, send that to tech support, and if it rises to a level of that would warrant a replacement, we will do that.
All right. The problem that I'm seeing is if those super early adopters are not in some way like taken taken account for, like make them feel happier. Probably in the future you will have a problem that nobody is going to early adopt your new models anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
we're all early adopters here. Everybody who's watching this channel right now, we're all crazy early adopters, right? But the
sure.
Pimax niche is the early adopters of early adopters. So if now the very first people who get these units and who have the black dots problem, they don't get somehow, you don't make them happy
You
in one
can.
way or another, you're going to run into a problem in the future, I think.
I understand that, but that would if you go down that path, then you almost better have a product that you might as well have a product that's 100% completed before you ever start. I mean, where there's no calibration, where you've done where
Yeah.
you run. In order for that to be true, you'd almost have to run 10 or 20,000 units through the plant before you ever sell one.
Right. I understand. I understand these
It's a bit of a chicken and
realities. I
if you want
know.
to be an early adopter with a cutting edge product, there is
Right.
some inherent there's a bit of a random element to it, and
Right.
companies that have the guts to try are often not going to be big enough to
Right.
just mass or just continually iterate
Right.
products on
I understand the
for
realities.
issues. And
Yeah.
there's a reality involved here where you just simply can't
Got it.
open the floodgates for people
Right.
to it has to be some kind of a traffic cop
Right.
involved somewhere in the middle
Got it.
that says otherwise you're gonna you're wind up with all kinds of additional problems
Right.
and
Probably,
the company has to limit these things in
I
ways that
understand. You
are
must
fair.
survive. I mean, you must survive as well, right?
You
So,
got to survive it, but you got to be fair.
right. So I
But you
think,
also have to survive, so you got to find some sort
right.
of happy medium there.
I understand. So probably it would be a fair thing to do that once you are doing better as a company, once you have fixed all the problems in general, that you don't forget those people, those backers, those early backers who received the 5K plus with a black dot problem, and somehow make them happy. I
Yeah,
think
no,
that
I
would be the right
know
way to.
in my discussions with people at Pimax every day and people that I work with every day and the team, I can.
Okay, now we're gone again, but wait. Test one two three. Test
There we
one
go.
two three, and here we go again. Can you hear me?
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes,
Oh, there we are.
but we're
I,
still.
I would just say on
Wait. But we're still not online on the channel.
oh,
That is strange. That is
I guess
strange.
that's not my side.
That's yeah. That is my style. Oh, now we're back. Now we're back. Okay.
Okay. So I would just say that in my daily dealings with the team and my teammates related on at Pimax, the sentiment that they have about the backers is good, and they actually um, have strong feelings towards towards that group of people. They think they got us going, and I think to a person, they really believe that. So,
Right.
do I think that they will continue to support the backers and to kind of a special degree, to a special level? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so for years to come. So
Right.
I do think that that's on their minds, but there's there's monetary and physical limits that a company like this can do, especially at the moment to support people when we're just trying to get everybody their device, you know,
Of course.
and to get these things delivered and and get them out, get them in their hands, get them on your door.
Right. Okay. Cool. Thanks for the answer. So let's
Sure.
go to the next question now. My headphone jack does only work sometimes. Is this a widespread problem, or am I just unlucky with my device?
There was I saw a fair amount of reports about that. Um, I saw it in the trouble tickets. I saw at least 40
Okay.
reports
All
of
right.
that. Now, 40 out of the total number of people that are number in the thousands now that have them is still dozens of people.
Yeah. Still,
Um,
still a lot of
so
people. So
and the degree of that happening varies too. I mean, on one of my own units, if I move the head, I can move it a little bit, although it's not to the degree it sounds like it is for him.
right,
But no, I would consider that a manufacturing defect as well.
and then get a replacement
Yeah, well, no, that would probably be
repaired.
qualify. It would be a repair.
Okay. But how long would a repair take now?
That's why I suggest that when we get the local, if they can survive
Yeah.
with a problem like
Okay.
that for a short time,
Yeah.
my personal, of course, they're open to solve this in any way they see fit and to jump in with the tickets and to run it through pimaxvr.com right away. But I would say that my personal, if they're in the United States, Canada, or Mexico, and then coming up in other places like in Europe, for example, coming up soon when we get something going there, um, that they can very quickly run it through the repair process through our offices, and have it and send it to us and have it back, in days,
All right.
So,
Okay.
but we'll get that going.
But at the
Um,
moment, in this moment in time, it's a rough spot. At
no,
this
they
moment in
could
time.
no if they what they could do now there it doesn't mean there's no option right now. There
Yeah.
you can create a ticket and report that as as a problem and then
Okay.
put it in for under the typical system.
Right.
And we are going to get to all those. And I mentioned to you earlier the plan that we have in place that'll let us do that. But
Okay.
but that said, um, we're a little behind on those.
Right. Okay. So now we're getting to other questions. Like lots of people ask this question: when is the wireless adapter coming?
Mhm. Like I say, I think that's the hardest. That is the highest hill to climb that we have,
The
as far
wireless
as.
adapter.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
We got 3 times as many pixels as the next guy, and
Right.
you gotta you literally that means that the job of achieving that is much harder. Now, luckily,
Is it gonna
there are.
come eventually,
It is.
or
Yeah,
okay? It is gonna
yeah,
come. Okay. Cool.
and I have seen it. you
Cool.
know,
That's
um,
amazing. Yeah.
but it doesn't work. That is something that I wouldn't want in my little
Wow. It's something that
small
you would
amount
not
of.
want at the
Not right
moment.
now, not what I saw.
Okay. So the problem was
Like
lag
I say,
or
I guess I'm a little too. I put out information good and bad.
but
I
that's
can
good.
get in trouble for
No,
that.
no, no, no. That's
But
good. That's
I'd
what the people
rather,
want.
but what I saw, it might have been around 80%. It would be okay for a couple minutes, and then you'd get it pretty good, and then it would lose sync, and you'd have some, you run into some non-polished things that
Okay.
it would take and have to get going again.
Right, right.
So
Got it.
if someone was asking me the when of that, the solution is actually technically capable. There's 2 different prototypes using 2 different vendors, wireless solution, and I think that we will in the second half of this year we will have that polished enough to sell.
Okay, in the second half of 2019, they're gonna come
Yeah,
for sure.
uh, I would find it highly likely.
Wow.
Um,
So cool. What kind of prices are we looking at?
and I would add to that one thing, and that is that the partners are very large companies, and they have taken the
Okay.
They want this to work,
Sure.
and so they have taken the mantle of a lot of the engineering and a lot of the testing, and so the development of that is a fair portion of it isn't really a Pimax thing.
All right. Okay.
We're talking about some of the largest companies in the world. I can't tell you who, but you can imagine who these companies are.
Sure.
They have a vested interest in making this work, and they're using some Pimax devices to do it.
They've been working together with HTC before as well.
They've worked with
Probably.
other VR companies,
All right. Okay. Got
and
it.
and they're considered to be chip makers.
Okay. I think now we get to the point of it. So
Uh, their solutions are great, and they're
okay.
designed specifically for this, and and they do work, but they're just really unpolished.
Right. Okay.
You
So
know,
let's say we get to the point where they are going to be sold. What prices are
right?
we looking at? Are we looking at Vive wireless pricing like $300, or is it going to be cheaper or more expensive?
I know about what they cost, but I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to speculate as to what our price would be. So I,
Right.
I really have to. I'll have to jump on that one.
Right. Okay, I understand. This
Yeah.
pricing is
Yeah.
very sensitive always. So, okay, wireless adapter coming sometime in the second half of 2019. Well, I'm definitely
Yeah.
looking forward to that
We're going to
because
be showing it. I will just say this as well. It's something that we plan that it won't be shown at GTC, I'm sure, but I think we'll be in a position to start demoing it to people where guys like you might be able to
that would be
kind of
amazing. That
give it
would
a
be
shakedown.
really cool. That would be
Yeah.
very cool. I would like to show it to the people. Of
hmm
course. All right.
Well, maybe not the first day.
All right.
I think maybe I'd like
No,
to hear
everything
what you
will
have
be
to
live
say about it.
streamed. Everything will be live streamed.
Oh yeah, here we go.
All
This
right.
damn thing doesn't work.
Yeah, this shit thing is not working at all.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's a very good answer, I think. People will know that it's coming in 2019 and
Right.
a big company that all of us or lots of us know is working on it. That's great. That's good to know. So there's invested interest for them to get it out
Yeah,
to sell it.
and I do see a lot of back and forth on it in on our internal. So
Okay.
I see testing results and all kinds of great things. So I would say that it is being worked on a daily basis, and it's something that we're interested in doing. So
Right. So, next question. When will the controllers come?
you're gonna people. I think that uh, since the controllers are one of the things that is in our purview as far as on the development side that our own teams have been working on, and there's nothing preventing that in any way. In other words, that's something that the whole time I was there, they had daily iterations of, and I got to play with it a lot.
Cool.
They don't look anything like they did at CE.
Oh,
but
sorry, say this again. They don't look anything like the ones that I saw at CES.
Right.
Wow. Okay, this is a big news here, live on MRTV. The Pimax controllers are not looking like the ones that I showed everyone at CES. Could you tell us what is the difference? Is it like the big ring? Some people have like complained, hey, the big ring. Probably you're going to touch the rings when you like play some.
They heard. I would just say they heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, they heard some of those comments.
All right. So now they're looking.
We got feedback after the show. We monitor the forums and a lot of emails and communications from partners and other people.
Nice.
And saying some things they'd like to see.
Okay.
And so the current iterations have a lot of those changes in there.
Amazing. So I can.
They measured my hand. I can't tell you how many times.
Okay, cool.
I have a Western style, hand.
Western style hand.
They're they were literally calculating the distance between my thumb and and the fingers and lengths and all of that.
Right. So that's cool. Cool that they do that. And I can tell you from the ones that I tried at CES, actually I liked them in terms of how they felt in the hand, as what the ergonomics are concerned. I felt they were really nice. So
and by the time I left the other day, when I came back, they had, when I first came in, I was working in the office. My thumb and finger didn't reach the buttons exactly right, and it didn't fit. And then what they did was they tried to move things around where it was right, and they got it to where it could work with their hands for all the testers there and mine.
Okay, that's really cool.
And by moving things around, just subtle. A lot of them were fairly subtle changes, but.
That's cool.
But yeah, it definitely is a different looking device than it was.
Wow, that's interesting, and I'm very much looking forward to try them when they come out. So I must tell you, I have the Valve Knuckles controllers. They are amazing, but they don't, as you saw in my video, they don't feel so ergonomic. And actually, the Pimax controllers, they did feel way better. So I think you're onto something there. And if you could.
I hope so. I would just say that that Valve has yet to open up some of the SDK to other hardware manufacturers. Your software manufacturer, you can support the Knuckles, but right now at this very moment, the hardware manufacturers can't, and they're.
Now I lost you. Hello, test. Oh yeah, now you're back again. Okay, so
there we go.
So
I was just saying they're opening up that coming up, I'm sure, and so hopefully we'll have some good levels of support.
So once you know about the hardware specifications of the Valve Knuckles, are you going to try to copy the shit out of them?
No,
why not? But because you want.
I think that would not make them happy.
Yeah, but actually you want your Pimax controllers to be you want them to be compatible somehow, right? Because there's going to be software which is being made for the Valve Knuckles controllers. Let's see, probably lots of Pimax users have your Pimax controllers, and then Half-Life VR comes out and it has those awesome functions that you can just use with the Valve Knuckles controllers. So you want your controllers to be compatible, don't you?
Yes.
Right.
How that's actually achieved is the question.
Yeah, no, that's your problem. Yeah, you can't achieve that if you don't know, if Valve doesn't open up their specifications, right?
It still can be achieved. It doesn't. Heck, man, the existence of the Pimax headset shows that we're really good at
reverse engineering.
Not we haven't reverse engineered anything, but actually hacking things,
making so that things compatible.
Yeah, I mean, look at the simple fact that we have our own render pipeline
Yeah, that's good.
that was completely independently developed that Pimax uses, and it's required
That's really
because
cool.
none of those functions for the distortion mask and a
Right.
dozen other things are in the Steam VR at all. So there's no way to port them back and forth. It was if you want in order to get all the games to work, which right now is in the thousands that can work. Um, the path to that was developing our own render pipeline,
Right.
and by doing that, we were able to achieve compatibility when people said, and that's why when people talk about other devices coming out that have a wide FOV and a higher resolution and all these
Right.
things, that is not an easy thing.
I know.
And it took us a long time to get it to where your average game was working and working to a decent degree, and that render pipe and control of the render pipeline was part of that. And so I would just say the engineering team is really skilled when it comes to finding ways to get something to work
That's cool.
anyway.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
and so when you're talking about the controllers, I think I have pretty good
Right.
confidence that they'll find a way, even if the hardware support's not
Okay.
directly exposed.
Got it. So, what functions are your controllers going to have? Do they also going to have this pressure sensitivity?
I hope we can have every major feature in there that would be typical of the next generation
Metals.
controllers. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That would be amazing. So, we haven't yet you have not yet answered the question, when will the controllers come out?
Yeah. So we're iterating very rapidly, and the question is, do we wait until other similar controllers are for sale, or do we just go ahead and release it?
Right.
It may be that waiting until the other devices are out is a wise plan, so that we can make sure that they're fully
Right.
compatible.
That makes sense. But you don't know
But
when other controllers are going to come out, right?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. So, but we could potentially have have release the controllers and have functionality that don't include some of those special features, where
Right.
the controllers are there but without that.
Being,
Since we
yeah,
have a
that
lot
makes
of
sense.
and then just add it with the controllers have firmware, just like the headset does.
Right.
And so you can flash the firmware of the controllers just like you can on the headset. So
That makes
and
sense.
our software. So
Right. So you can just put
um,
the
we could
same.
theoretically add the new
Right.
capabilities after they
Exactly.
exist.
That makes sense. So you could
And we have
just.
a lot of people waiting, and we really want to get them out.
Right.
So get
So
back to the question,
yeah,
when.
when.
So yeah, I think that I'm hoping that we start showing the fully fleshed out versions that have that where the buttons map to standard wands.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Um, in other
Makes
words,
sense.
where some of those semi-unique new features won't be in there in the firmware on the very first
That's fine
ones that
though.
we show.
But when are they going to
Um,
come out?
but I know I can't say exactly, but I can say I'm hoping that we show them in the next month or so,
Okay.
and
Cool. In the next month.
functional. Where they're seen, and I think that production is still slated to start in small quantity in April,
Wow.
and
Amazing.
and then by the summertime, they should be available in large quantity.
Wow, that is incredible. Good news. And how expensive are those going to be? And will they be fully compatible with Vive and Vive Pro for those people who own the Vive and Vive Pro who would simply like to have a good controller?
Yeah, I think that our goal is to be able to sell into some existing.
Wow.
I think we're going to try
I
to
think they
be
will
very
sell better than the Pimax headsets because so many people want to have like controllers.
sure. Yeah, no, I think that there's a good market for that. I think it's a good business thing.
Right.
And of course, we have a lot of people that we already owe them to. So, thousands of people.
Right.
So, we gotta get them out. But the bottom line is there's a big market for that,
Exactly.
and we know that. So
Right.
you can be sure that
You're going to sell them for sure.
yeah,
But what about pricing?
our pricing is gonna be designed to be cheaper than the next guy. So,
Okay. Good.
we want to be more than competitive.
So you must price them definitely cheaper than $150 a piece, like the wands. That's for sure. In my opinion, a good price would be $150 for a pair. I think that's something that you would sell like shitloads of these things, and you would still make a profit. I believe. Well, I'm not familiar with exactly your
Well,
cost, but that's my suggestion.
that assumes some insight that not a lot of people have into the development, right?
Right.
But I would say that yeah, we're not in a position to actually announce the pricing,
I
but I
know.
can I can say that our plan is to sell a lot of them.
That makes sense. And probably with $149, you will sell lots of them. Prepare. Anyways, now Chris B sends over $5. Thank you so much, Chris B, for your support for this channel, which I still think is very, very good. And now, yeah, how is the rigid head strap coming?
I got to try it. I tried more than one version of it, and it
Okay,
worked great for me.
okay. Is it the Halo
Um,
style like it was before, or how?
they had
How?
more. They had two different styles, and I got to try one that was sort of a kind of a almost a PSVR style thing,
Yeah, right.
and then I
Which is a
tried
good
another
thing.
one. Yeah,
I like the
and then
PSVR.
I tried another one that was that had some flexible pieces and some hard pieces in it, and it had removable headphones.
Okay,
But and they both have their pluses and minuses, and that was the big debate for CES. But um, I liked the harder, the one that had the pretty good shell to it, the best.
okay.
That one fit my head perfectly.
All right. How is it like?
Then
Is it like the Vive Pro style or
yeah, it looks like a DAS a little bit. It's kind of, and it's got
okay?
some and
Which
the
is a
the
good
last
thing.
version yeah, but it's actually really nice, and it's got some features that those don't have that I probably can't get into without getting somehow eviscerated.
All
but
right.
uh, but it does have some features that I think people will like, and but that don't exist in the DAS. A
What could that
few
be?
pretty significant things,
Right. Okay.
but that I thought was really slick.
All right. That sounds good.
But and it had replaceable. Another thing on top of those features, it had foams that you could change out, which I thought was pretty
Okay.
cool.
Nice.
And but I thought that, but when I took it off my head and another person put it on their head, all of a sudden they had a problem, and it wasn't comfortable for them. It was
Okay.
comfortable for me, wasn't comfortable for them. And we were talking about, well, if we show that at CES and we not and that last 2 or 3%, do we push and try to get as many of those people as we can? And that last little bit is the hardest part.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think it's something we're going to show soon, and I think the pads and the strap and all that is something that's going to happen pretty quickly now.
So
It's pretty far along when I saw it, and that
quickly,
was a month ago.
like next month, you will show it off on YouTube channels, or
I think we might. I think our goal is to show off some of these things at GTC. We'll
okay.
see what gets to be shown and what doesn't.
Right.
But sometimes there's debate on what to show and what not to right at the end, and depending on the degree of polish you have. In our case, though, they're doing, they're doing multiple things at the same time. They're doing tooling at the same time as they're doing, they're so on a lot of the pieces. Once they do a design freeze on a particular piece, they go ahead and do the tooling.
Right.
So in the case of Pimax, they're literally by design. The whole company by design is when they're doing the iterations, they're preparing for production. You know.
Okay. So,
Uh,
actually, the device you have now one design that you are all sure this is the good one, and you're getting ready to show it off to the world next month.
right. We hope so.
Okay, cool. That's amazing. So you will be at GTC, not
Right.
GDC. Yeah, tell everyone
Right.
the difference. And
Yep.
this is gonna be the same time like GDC.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
It's really hard for companies to do both. Most companies had to pick one.
All right.
Uh, but the GTC they're both on the same days and the same in California. And
In San Francisco as well, or?
yep. And so
Oh, really?
it was San Jose.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'll be at the GTC. My understanding is some people do have Pimaxes at GDC as well, but I'll have to check on that for in some of the booths. But we as a company will be at GTC, and that's more of a B2B show.
Right.
So a lot of the things that we're going to show there are kind of B2B focused things. We have some content partners that are going to be in the booth with us this time, which would be kind of a neat thing.
Okay,
we'll announce that. We'll make an announcement on that. We got some pretty nice content that's kind of geared towards Pimax that we're going to want to talk about. But yeah, we're gonna. It's a B2B focused show, so we're going to be showing B2B focused things, and we're going to be making announcements that revolve around that. Of course, the nice thing for consumers is a lot of these B2B pieces will become available to consumers too as accessories.
All right. That's great.
So some of these things you're going to see, have a variation on them that's a consumer variation of the same piece.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Sometime we probably will open it up where the B2B versions of the SKUs will be available to buy.
All right, good to know. Looking forward to that. So I think we have talked about the head strap. I'm very much looking forward to that. That's going to be good. And we still have some more accessories to talk about. So
sure.
I think most of the people are now excited about lighthouses. Some people don't have lighthouses. They simply wanted to get. They simply backed the full package, which I also did. Well, I do have lighthouses, but not everybody has lighthouses. What about that? Right. Would it take forever?
Well, our goal. Well, there's two parts to that. One part is do you is there ever going to be an avenue where you don't need lighthouses on a Pimax?
Right.
And the answer to that is yes. There's a reasonable chance that we will have a module that can give you some inside-out tracking on an existing.
Okay.
But also on top of that, on the lighthouses, it's something that we are working on. People should know that Lighthouse 2.0s just don't have wide general availability.
Yeah, you can get them basically. You can't get them in the amount that you need them.
We don't actually manufacture that piece.
Right.
Our company is unrelated to that piece.
Right.
We simply buy them in quantity. And
but you
when you right, and if they're just not available to buy in any quantity, and when someone says, well, hey, you can have 100 of them, but it's a very high price,
right,
some multiple of what are the kinds of pricing you've been that you hope for, then it's kind of a non-starter. So the focus of Pimax is to create a situation where we get as much tech in a device as we can, keep the price down, and offer it back to the public. Well, we can't exactly have lighthouses and controllers that blow up the price, So part of it is negotiating, the prices with suppliers for various things in large quantities and in other avenues to get the price down. And so part of what we're doing is that. So I think that in the next few months, we'll have that completely resolved where they're available in quantity. But the problem is, like I say, they just aren't. We couldn't get them in quantity right now. Period.
Okay, so it's still a problem for people who then finally get their Pimaxes, but they don't have them friggin' lighthouses. So what to do? I mean, the thing is, people bought the Kickstarter package because the full package was just so awesome. Right, it was just an amazing deal. I think I paid $7.99 for the Pimax 8K, and it included the cool controllers and the lighthouses. Perfect.
Right.
But actually, you can totally not deliver on that.
Right. The manufacturer of the lighthouses has to manufacture them in quantity for us to buy. It's just as simple as that.
Right.
So, we thought they would be available in quantity.
Right, when you made the Kickstarter, right? I think.
Right.
Right. Okay.
But they were in it, but there were some technical problems on that manufacturer, on that manufacturer of that device that prevented them from being manufactured in quantity.
All right. So what about the people?
Unrelated to Pimax.
Right. So Understand, but still, the problem is people are gonna have Pimaxes without the lighthouses. What to
Yeah, no,
do?
I would
Should
just
they?
say that we have gone to great lengths to try to create situations uh, where those are available in quantity. you know,
Okay, yeah,
so
you're
uh,
trying
and
behind. Yeah,
we've made some quite significant uh, overtures to try to solve that problem. But no, it's something that we're still working on, and I'm confident it will get solved. And it's in everybody's best interest to have those devices available, not just for Pimax customers, for many customers in
sure,
general.
of course.
Um, it's the lack of availability of that part limits the number of devices that are in the in the Lighthouse
Ecosystem, yeah.
ecosystem itself. And so there's no one that wants to that all of the parties involved want to get these out in large volumes.
Right,
So
got it.
um, so it's going to happen.
Okay, so still at this moment in time, still the best bet to get the Pimax working as intended is to get an HTC
Yeah.
Vive, a used HTC Vive for probably $300, and then
I
once you get the real ones from Pimax, then sell off the old system again. I think that's the
Yeah,
best
and
thing.
it'll be we'll have. I'm hoping that we have an announcement to make related to that. I hope we can put some really nice guidance on that
Right.
at GTC.
Right. So as PD Paradise Decay is asking, as a Rift owner, will Pimax have an HMD with Lighthouse and controller bundle? So basically everything that you need, something that you have sold
Yes.
in your Kickstarter, you will have it for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. No, we will be offering
Okay.
bundles,
All right. So
and that's part of our business plan.
right.
A fundamental part of our business. We're gonna not only are we gonna offer bundles, we're gonna have some things where you can get a deal where you can get a nice video card plus the Pimax and the controller
Okay.
and the lighthouses and some software.
Right. Got it. Good. Cool. Good to know. Next point. Okay, this is the lighthouses. So thanks for the answer.
Hmm.
Thanks for the answers, even though it's not easy to answer those hard questions. But as the
Uh,
community says, you are still doing a great job, and
it's
yeah, you're still
I'm here to try to solve. I would just say that I am talking. One of the functions I have is to try to work on some of these things,
right. Okay,
and to try to find ways to break through on some of these things.
right.
And the team is also working hard to break through on some of these things.
All
But
right.
it is something that we do work on literally every day, and not a day goes by that we're not working on controllers and lighthouses in some form or fashion.
Okay, cool, great. So we still have some questions here concerning accessories. So what about the prescription inserts for people who have glasses and who would
I,
like to have these inserts? When are they gonna come? And also, how about the new foam options? Could you talk a bit about those?
yeah, I hope we can show I hope that we can show the foam options at GTC. We'll have like 4 or 5 different ones,
How
and
many?
we have
Four, five. Okay, cool.
yeah, and we also have a PEX one.
What?
A PEX.
What does this mean?
It's a material. It's a
Okay.
really nice material. And we're gonna call that one the deluxe one.
Okay, cool. Cool.
It's extremely nice. It fits right in there. We've worked hard to get it to where it causes your eye to be exactly at the right spot
All right.
with the material, depending and looking at the pressure you get from
Sounds amazing.
when you put the. It's made to go together with the rigid head strap, although you don't have to.
Right.
Uh, but it's made to withstand the extra pressure when you pull the head against the face, the foam, and you can still have that gap that's exactly right.
Okay.
But so there's that, and I think those are not that hard. The hardest one is the PEX one. The rest of them are just foam, and they're easy. We've already revised the foam face pad a couple times, in the current iteration of the devices that we're shipping. It's a thicker material. It's a denser material. It's actually one of the other options is become the primary one.
All right.
So you'll notice there's a little difference in the current ones on that than the early ones.
Okay.
Um, But
So they're
but as
nearly
far
ready,
as yeah, oh yeah,
and you're going to show
uh,
them as well on
those are sort
GCC
of yeah,
in
those are kind
March.
of in stage
Okay.
things now.
And how about the
But
inserts?
and on the inserts, I actually saw a whole what looked like uh, some devices that were either pretty close or right at the end stage. Although I didn't have a chance to talk about that at all when I was over there the other day. But I saw them and I sat there playing around with it, and I realized you can just snap it in,
Oh, cool. That's great.
and I played around with it, and it does work, and it does exist.
Okay.
Uh, but I think that that was the one of the things was trying to find who to partner with uh, on how do you and getting the dimensions for the lenses that go in there, uh, et cetera. So it looked like the piece itself was either close to ready to go or was ready to go. So, but like I say, I grabbed one and I just snapped it right in, and I'm like, is this the glasses thing? you know,
Okay. Yeah.
but but no, I haven't been involved in that piece at all,
All
and
right.
but I have seen it.
Okay. So, question that is like connected to all these accessories. How are the backers going to get them? Are you going to ship them one big package and it's going to be Christmas all
That's
over again, or is it going to be piece by
no,
piece?
no. I'm what we hope to do. It's just illogical to ship something all the way from China for a foam pad,
Right.
or the glasses piece, or any some of these individual pieces that weigh like 1 ounce. you know,
So it's going to be
uh,
all together in one big care
no.
package.
Our thinking right now is to ship them to the warehouses in the local regions, and then put them in a box and have more than one piece of that that's together, and ship it as
Right.
a group. But when they're in the local offices, theoretically, we could ship things one at a time uh, as well. It's just so much easier, so much cheaper, and you can ship
Of
them to the
course.
U.S. and other countries in bulk, and then just quickly ship them. Even ground ship in the U.S. is only 3 days on the typical. So it should not be a hard thing once we have them in quantity.
Right.
But
Thanks.
but I would just say our plan is not to try to ship them from China to
Okay.
individual
Got it. It makes
locations
sense. It will
all
take
around
a
the
long
we
time.
owe we would owe 7,000 of them.
Right. Right.
you
Exactly.
know,
Makes sense. It makes sense
so
to send them all first to the local warehouses or put them in a box and send them together. It makes
yeah,
sense.
spend $35 to ship a 1 ounce item that's
Right.
through customs and everything. It just makes no sense when you can get them all in one
Right.
big.
Right. Thank you so much for the super chat, Vorinami. And Vorinami says, thanks for your time and Q&A. Seb and Kevin, I have to leave. Good night. All right, and you should link the video on the forum. Yeah, sure. I think somebody from the Pimax forum will totally link this, and lots of questions are answered tonight. So
What else we got?
we got some more questions. Not so many, but we do have some more. Yeah. Okay. Are you still doing research on higher quality parts, like better housing, better panels? If yes, do you have prototypes on those? And will there be an 8K plus?
Yeah, eventually, sure.
Yeah,
There'll be
sure.
the goal. The business plan is to iterate the product over time, just like
Right,
the smartphone business or any other business. Um, Iteration is a big part, and then you slide the pricing of the older SKUs down,
right,
and you bring in the new SKUs. So we're going to have the 8KX will eventually be the flagship product.
right.
But that said, are we on the housing question? We were always refining the process of shooting the plastic molds on the existing housing,
Right.
making it stronger. There's also a deburring process, and there's different ways of doing that. They've changed that a couple times, improved that. That can make the plastic stronger if it's done right. You have a lot of aspects to that. So the quality, the products improve by the quantity that you're making. The more batches you make, the better they are
Right.
over time. and it's just the nature of manufacturing.
Sure.
You know, anyone that says that your Samsung TV that you bought on the first day that it came out to one that is made a year later are the same as, you know, it's just it's just not manufacturing. You know, it's you always have iterative improvements in your manufacturing process.
Cool. So, is there like one particular device that your engineers are working on now? Probably the 8KX, I suppose, right?
Yeah, no, the AKX is the primary for the
Okay.
future devices, um, but you know, right now we're most of the engineers are on the are on fault tolerance,
Okay.
and which means that when you track a fault, any fault, even if it's just one person who has a fault, you just want to make sure that the problem is not endemic, and you want to make sure that there's nothing in manufacturing that's causing that. And the goal is to get, you know, the defect rate down, you know, into the zero point 0.4, zero point 0.3, 0.2%,
Hmm.
and
Right.
or less. You want the goal is to get zero, but of course you never hit that, but you try. You know,
Right.
and a fault tolerance system is where most of the engineers are. We do have people that are working on the 8KX, but the fault tolerance is our primary thing. We want to make sure that we have a really solid manufacturing process from A to Z.
That makes sense. And actually, we talked more about the 8KX in the People in XR
Right.
podcast, our episode, which is coming up this Sunday. So, for all people who want to know more about the 8KX, we talked like, I think, 20 minutes about it. So,
Yeah,
that should
I
be
went into pretty good
pretty interesting.
went into pretty good detail on that on it.
Right,
So.
right. So, another question from good old Germany. When will the Pimax devices be available in Europe, as in through more known channels, like Amazon,
Sure.
for example?
No, our goal, I can't announce a specific channel, but you know, of course we're huge fans of many of those channels,
Of
and
course.
so and you know, me personally, I'm a consumer that buys from a lot of those channels myself, and I'm a big fan of getting things. In
Me
fact,
too.
in fact, in Orlando, in my area where I live, I often can get parts on the same day.
Same here.
It isn't even one day.
Same
If
here in
I
Dortmund.
order it
Yeah,
if I order it at say 9 or 10 o'clock in the
it's
morning, I
amazing.
might get it at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just
Right,
on my door. It's unbelievable.
right. Here where I
Our
live,
goal is
yeah,
to be in that place.
right. That would be
Period.
amazing. Like here in Dortmund, in Germany, where I live, we have actually an Amazon warehouse. So the same day here, for me, it's
Yep.
amazing. So,
Yep.
so you're working
And
on these
we've got
channels.
yes, we've got a lot of discussions going with some of the mass channels,
Okay.
and our goal is to utilize some of those channels. And in fact, I will throw this out there too. Even in the future, even when you order a product, some of the negotiations revolve around where PimaxVR.com. Uh, when you order from there, that the fulfillment will still happen through some of those wide distribution channels where you order it on
Right.
PimaxVR.com, and it still happens in a day. So even if you order from PimaxVR.com on that's a website that's in China, it'll just go through the EDI will show you that it'll be shipped immediately, and the average ship time would be a day. I doubt we'll get to the same day zone real quick, but I think we can get to one day.
Okay.
And
That would be
even
amazing.
even when you order it on PimaxVR.com, the goal is to get it down to one day.
That sounds amazing, and that's definitely a goal to pursue. All right,
Yep.
we got actually only one more question, man. You've
Wow,
made
that's
it.
great.
You've made it so
I
far.
lived.
Yeah, you survived this. We don't know about the last question though.
Oh, that's true.
No, no.
It could be deadly.
But it's not. It's just a simple question. Okay, so the question is: we are moving more and more to standalone headsets with
Yeah.
the Oculus Quest, with the upcoming Vive Cosmos, and well, that's definitely the way to go. 5G, right? 5G. So, how at Pimax are you also considering to do a standalone headset?
Oh, it's something that's been discussed and thrown around, and but you know, that's a for us that would be a bit of a dream at the moment. But we've got a whole line of PC VR headsets that we
Right.
are working on,
Sure.
and even a line of future devices that we've been talking about that are in that same vein. But if you were to ask me what my thoughts on standalone devices are, I would say that I love the idea of standalone devices. I think the Quest is a really neat and cool thing, and I have the best of wishes. I hope great success comes to Oculus from that. And I hope that HTC, with the Focus and the Focus Plus, which just announced for B2B, are a success for them. I think the VR business needs lots of successful parties for software and support and the whole ecosystem that we have, and people to see what VR is like. That said, I think that the PC VR business is going to be, there is so much in there that requires the PC. And when you're talking about the Quest, it uses a Snapdragon 835, which is something like 0.2% what a 2080 Ti is in an Intel
What?
Core i9.
0.2? What?
Yeah.
No kidding.
And remember, it's having to run on a battery. You don't.
Yeah, right.
There's two. When people do a benchmark on an 835 or anything like that, and you run it, you're talking about but you're not running it in the theoretical maximum that it can potentially put out.
Right.
You're running it on a battery.
Right.
So when you're in a power saving mode, you're at a fraction of what its maximum throughput is anyway. So you're talking about where you can't do distortion mask calculations easily, unless you have dedicated silicon for it, and even then you're gonna use some of your battery budget. Man, you're talking about a very long time before standalone approach the potential quality of PC-based devices.
So probably not going to happen so soon. However,
I think it's longer than people think.
Right. Right. However, the 5G part
Sure.
part is the interesting part, because then you don't need to have this running on the device itself, right? You can get it through the cloud, through the edge cloud, and put onto your device, and then it gets more interesting.
It does, but a lot of people, I think that people underestimate the hurdles,
right,
that are required for that to happen. There's a lot of communication that's not just the graphic data, and their interactive data and a lot of other things. I mean, man,
right.
The hurdles there are quite significant from an engineering standpoint, and it's not so. And the Echo Box concept, which is an old concept for VR headsets, is something that where you have this cheap screen that's nothing more than a screen and an Echo Box to whatever you have on your PC, and you drive it through 5G or you drive it however wirelessly, is a very difficult concept in engineering to implement, and it's going to be a long time before we get that to a degree that people are dreaming about.
Got it. So you will stick to the edge of what is doable right now, and so all
VR has a long way to go.
Right.
I mean, the road to VR, as you see, on the site, is a good phrase, and that is because it's a lengthy one, and it's a true immersive computing is an incredibly difficult problem in engineering, right. and so. And our goal at Pimax is to be at the forefront of that visually, and to have the level of immersion higher than other things. And when you're trying to mix maximum level of immersion with battery operated devices and wireless devices and devices that are light, that don't weigh anything, you're talking going for a true utopia, and it's just wonderful to sit there and speculate about and think about how great it would be. I'm a big fan of VR. I'd love to have that tomorrow.
Right, got it.
But to have a device that weighs 6 ounces, that's a pair of glasses that gives you total immersion, that it's going to be a while, and I think we can get to the total immersion piece quicker on PC VR than any other avenue.
Got it. Cool. That's a very, very nice answer. Very clear and concise. So you have made it through all the questions, man. Congratulations. And you still lived. And I think the community appreciates...
They pull the arrows out.
Yes. The community appreciates very, very much what you did here today. We got another super chat from Brett Bullock. And
sure.
Brett Bullock also says, thanks, Sebastian and Kevin, for the great stream. Keep up the good work. And I can just say... thank you so much for answering all this question. And you know what?
I'm happy to be here.
Right. And I would also like to tell you that I appreciate very much what you're doing at Pimax. And I also want to say, even though Pimax has a lot of problems, it's great to see that you're dealing with the problems. And apart from that, I still applaud Pimax for pushing the envelope like you guys do. Like, yeah, you're really at the bleeding edge of VR, and actually, with your Pimax headsets, you're bringing the whole industry forward. So I needed to say that because I don't want I don't want this show just to be this inquisition and like asking you all these hard questions. I simply want to say you're doing a great job pushing VR.
No, we clearly we're VR. We're people who are enthusiasts as well.
Yeah.
The whole company is VR, full of VR enthusiasts that just want immersive computing to become a reality. That's our goal. And what's the fastest way to get there? There you go. You know, that's the mentality of the company in a nutshell. And you know, it's hard for people to feel that when they're sitting at home waiting on their headset to arrive. And I understand that. And I just want everybody to know we're really thankful for them, and we do know that they are the whole reason this thing is moving on down the road. And the guys like you, Sebastian, who helped us figure out problems and get them solved, you know, we can't thank you enough. And so, you know, we just hope that you guys continue the journey with us.
Sure.
And roll over some of those bumps with us, and just know that our goal is probably the same as a lot of as you and other people that are watching. Right. We just want immersive computing we want that dream of immersive computing to become a reality. And I think that, you know, and getting it there as fast as we can, you know, is where our head is at. And that's where we want to be. And clearly, we're doing a lot of things to get there, and we get there, you know, as fast or faster than other people are. So, you know, so that's our business plan, to compete with the next guy. is to get to immersive computing faster and for a lower price, and just keep doing that. And you know, so that's the plan. It's simple, and I just so appreciative that people are taking the ride with us.
Wow, I think that's the perfect way to end the show. Thanks a lot. We got another super chat from VR Legion. Great work, Sebastian and Kevin. So happy that we made the show together. I really think that was an amazing show. I loved the show. It was really cool. And I think this is going to be great for all the people on the forums, on the Pimax forum. They can just watch this show and they get all their hard questions answered directly by you. So again, thank you so much for being here, Kevin. And yeah, you did a great job answering all these hard questions.
Oh man, I'm happy to be here, and let's do it again. You know, and I'm sure there'll be more hard questions to answer, but happy to do it and do my best to get those questions answered for people.
All right, amazing. Thank you, Kevin, and yeah, looking forward to see you the next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye. So, let's check. That's it. That's it for this special version of MRTV Live. I really hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. I really enjoyed it to speak with Kevin, and I'm sure that lots of the hard questions, actually all the hard questions, had been answered. Kevin is calling me again. Hello, Kevin. I'm still live here. I'm still live.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you a bit later.
Okay, talk to you later, man.
Yeah. Okay. So I think one more thing Kevin wanted to say. Yeah. Anyways, so what I wanted to say. Thanks for watching this. I really hope that you enjoyed this show. If you enjoy the content that I'm creating, if you love this channel, and if you want to see it keep going forward, and if you want more content, then why don't you join the MRTV Elite at mrtvelite.com. It will only set you back $3, and you'll get a good look behind the scenes. Let me just put this here into the chat so you can directly go there. If you like what I'm doing, mrtvelite.com. For $3, you get all the information first. You will know much more than all the others. And yeah, I would greatly appreciate if you would support this channel. Right. That's truly everything that I got for you guys today. That's truly everything I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have not yet subscribed to MRTV yet, do so now. And I'm looking forward to see you in the next episode. Bye.